Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, welcome to The Print. We have with us Minister of State for External Affairs and former Kerala President V. Muralidharan. Let's try and understand what is his assessment of Kerala, Tamil Nadu as well as West Bengal and Assam, apart from Pondicherry where assembly elections will take place from March 27. Sir, what is your assessment as far as Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they are concerned, because the party is trying to make inroads in the southern states?
As far as Kerala is concerned, we will improve upon our position and in a way establish as a prime contender for the space in Kerala. As far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, we are sure that we will be able to come to power along with AIADMK.
So there has been a bit of a flip-flop as far as naming the chief ministerial candidate of the party in Kerala is concerned. Earlier, the state president had said that Mr. Sridharan would be the CM candidate. You had also tweeted it, and later on it was clarified that the party has not yet decided. So what is going on there?
No, it was, in fact, the state president had said that the people of Kerala would like to have a person like Sri E. Sridharan as the chief minister. But that doesn't amount to an announcement as chief ministerial candidate. Perhaps that day what happened was that some of the media reported that he has been announced as the chief minister candidate. So without verifying from the party, I reaffirmed.
Right.
So later on I came to know that the party had not announced. So naturally I have to withdraw. That's what happened.
So right now there is no CM candidate of the party as far as Kerala is concerned?
No, there is nobody has been announced as CM candidate.
So in the local body polls of Kerala, the party had fielded a lot of Muslim and Christian candidates, and earlier on the Prime Minister had also met a number of church leaders. And the opposition is saying that they're viewing it as an attempt to woo the Christian community. How do you respond to that?
No, of course it's not. Our Prime Minister meeting the church leaders has nothing to do with BJP's political agenda. That was a meeting on the basis of the request that he received from the church leaders. As far as fielding the candidates are concerned, we had fielded candidates from the Christian community in the local body polls, and this election also, I can say that the largest number of Christian candidates in any election during the last so many years, BJP has fielded this time. We have around 8 Christian candidates now in the state of Kerala. So we would definitely like to have the votes of every section of the society, and Christian community is a peace-loving society. So we would definitely like to have their support in the elections and also further for BJP.
Another statement that often comes from the opposition is that BJP can only bank on Nair votes. How true do you think that is, or is that a fair assessment?
See, that is a malicious propaganda that has been unleashed by the opposition to portray BJP as an upper caste party. In fact, BJP has party workers, party office bearers from every section of the society. We have, in fact, I would say that out of the 4 general secretaries, we have 1 Christian and 1 general secretary from the scheduled caste community, even though there is no reservation among the general secretaries as such for particular community in the BJP constitution. And the party is led by a person who belongs to the OBC community in Kerala. The state president doesn't belong to the Nair community. But we have a fair amount of support, good support, from among the Nair community as well as from the other backward classes communities and scheduled castes.
So there's another perception, BJP is being accused of cracking down on any kind of dissent, and people are also blaming the government for it. So how do you respond to such allegations?
There is no such dissent because the BJP is a democratic party. We are free to air our views within the party fora. And once the decision is taken, we unitedly work to implement the decision that has been taken by the party. So there is no dissidence. Till decision is arrived, everybody can have their own opinions. But after the decision is taken, it's one opinion and everyone will strive to implement that opinion.
But what about dissent per se? Dissent, cracking down on dissent, the cases where people want to speak their mind and they are not allowed. What about that, sir?
No, where is that dissent? Because here, this is the country where the Prime Minister can be criticized, any sort of names are being called. There is nothing going on against that. So perhaps no other country in the world would have opposition leaders accusing the Prime Minister, calling him by, means I don't want to spell out those names. So even within Parliament or outside, opposition is free to do. They are holding agitations, this Kisan agitation or CA agitation. It went on for months together. Nobody cracked on them. So there is no such dissent at all.
Sir, you must have seen that the Kerala Chief Minister, Mr. Vijayan, had also written to Union Home Minister regarding one incident where four nuns who were travelling from New Delhi to Odisha, they were harassed by right-wing groups, and he said that this damages the image of India, and at the same time people say there is a perception that there is an increase in such cases since the BJP has come to power.
It has nothing to do with BJP coming to power, or it has nothing to do with the place where it happened. Such incidents have happened in Kerala also. Such incidents have been happening in every part of the country. It's all the local, some elements who are out for such things. And we are not aware who has done that. Accusing it on the right-wing extremism and all. It's going too far. In fact, on this issue, the Honorable Home Minister of the country has specifically, categorically said that anybody who is trying to create such issues will be brought before law, and as stipulated by law, action will be taken.
So the opposition has also said that they will do away with the Citizenship Amendment Act if they are voted to power. It is not just in Assam, but in other places also. Similar, the opposition has been making similar claims. What do you have to say on that?
Of course, any political party can propagate their views. They should approach the people, and ultimately people will decide what to do.
And do you see a direct fight between the BJP and the left, or do you think that the Congress also has its position very much intact in Kerala?
Of course, Kerala, I don't say that Congress is irrelevant, but Congress is moving towards sunset. That's what I would term it. But of course, as of now, it's a tri-cornered fight. That is the situation.
Sir, I don't know if you're aware, but you must have seen that there is a storm that has been sort of created over a statement by West Bengal President Dilip Ghosh, who mentioned that, talking about the injured leg of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, he said that she should wear a Bermuda if she really wants to show her injured leg. And this has been termed as distasteful by TMC. And do you think that, during elections, such statements should be avoided?
No, I have not seen that statement, so I don't know per se what exactly he said and what he meant. So unless I know that, it wouldn't be proper for me to comment on that.
Sir, but what is your assessment of the party as far as all the 5 elections are concerned, one state, one UT as well as the 4 assembly elections in 4 states?
We are sure to win Bengal, retain Assam, come to power in Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu with our allies, and improve our position in Kerala.
So there is also an effort by the opposition to be united and fight what they say as the biggest evil, which is the BJP. How do you see that in a political...
As I said earlier, in democracy, everybody have the freedom to choose their allies. So I can't say that opposition should not come together. So they are free to do that. That is their within their right to come together and fight against the government or against the policies of the government. Ultimately, in a democracy, it is the people who are the authorities. People will take the decision and they will choose whom they would like to see in power, who can take India ahead on the path of progress.
I have analyzed all the manifestos of the BJP that has been released so far, and while development is a major plank, and which right from PM Modi to Union Home Minister, all BJP leaders have been talking about it. But you definitely see that the party has said that they will enact law for cow slaughtering or cow smuggling. There will be temple restoration, at the same time communal violence. So, there is this common thread that seems to run across all the manifestos. Is it because of it is too ideological driven?
No. See, the thing is, others are all a bit reluctant to spell out such issues because these issues are also important. Because issues of faith are as important as issues of development. So man doesn't live by bread alone. Definitely, bread is a very relevant, important part. But along with bread, there are many other things which makes a human being a complete human being. So we cater to the interests of all those aspects of an individual's life or a citizen's life. So we definitely demand about Sabarimala in Kerala.
Right.
So others are hesitant. Others feel that if they tell something about Sabarimala, they will be considered as non-secular. So we don't consider so. We feel that Sabarimala is an important issue in the state of Kerala as far as this election is concerned.
So as far as campaigning is concerned, where all will you be heading to?
I'll be going to since till today I was busy with the parliament. Tomorrow morning I will be going to Calicut, and from there on I will be moving towards Trivandrum in almost every district.
Thank you so much for being with us, sir. This is Neelam Pandey with Surat Singh Bish for The Print.